the last few years, and a lot of older comics that have known him for a very, very long time. So we really appreciate that you guys are here, and I know a lot of people, I came up, I started just over 10 years ago, so I heard all the stories from back in the day. So I know there's a million stories out there, and a lot of people that are here today have those stories. So that's why we set up this mic. If anyone wants to come up and say something and share a story of Donnie's. I know even people have come up and shared favorite jokes of Donnie's over the last few weeks as well. So if you want to do that, feel free. But thank you for coming. And let's we'll kick it off with a toast first to Donnie Coy. Just want to raise a glass. We have that. We've got Kahlua and vodka. If you want a Black Russian, we can do that. And I think to kick things off, an old friend of Donnie's is going to come up and say some things, and a legend of his own. Please make some noise to Mr. Kenny Robinson.
First of all, Donnie would have loved to seen everybody here, and he probably would have abused some of you. Some. Well, anyway, I met Donnie back in 1981. Both him and I were doing Yuck Yuck's Monday night amateur nights together. And we couldn't get off fucking amateur night. Howie Wagner was a prick and wouldn't give us a break. Yeah! Nothing's changed. So anyway, so Donnie and I, whenever we'd see each other, and I guess we were probably two of the older guys, or the only two that had like suit jackets back then. So we started being friends then. Whenever we'd see each other at the mics and what have you. So anyway, I bump into him, and he tells me that he's going to open up a comedy club in Hamilton. And I'm like, I've heard of Hamilton. So anyway, he told me he was going to open it up, and it was called Crackers. And he hired Frenchy McFarlane and Rick Solomon. And then I said, really? And then he told me how much he paid them, and I almost had a fucking stroke. Donnie paid these guys $300-400, which back then nobody was getting $300 or $400. And if you ever saw Frenchie or Rick's act, you definitely know those are two guys that should never have seen $300 or $400. So I said, well, tell you what, you can probably get Wayne Fleming for $250. And he goes, really? And I went, yeah. So he booked Wayne in. And at the same time, I started mentioning to him that, well, maybe Mark wouldn't be such a bad guy to talk to. And I mentioned to Mark, well, this Donnie guy's trying to do something, he's not such a bad guy to talk to. And then I went and did the room with permission of the Yuck's agent. But Mark didn't know that I had gotten permission from his agent. So Mark was ready to kick me out of Yuck Yucks, which meant I couldn't do amateur night anymore. And I remember he said to me, well, who in the hell asked you to be Henry Kissinger? So a week later, they made the deal. So Yucks became, Hamilton became the third Yucks club after Ottawa and the Toronto original one. So that's when the boom was first starting. So the next club, yes, and before I go any further, a lot of people give Donnie credit for bringing stand-up to the city of Hamilton, but he had a very, very talented behind-the-scenes, but not behind-the-scenes partner with his partner Lydia Coy there. She took care of the heavy side of it. She took care of the business end. Donnie got to have the drinks and the shaking of the hands and the smiling and the good time. She's the one that had to explain why Frank Van Keeken couldn't come back. When there were hecklers, Lydia's secret was to grab him by the baby finger and pull it back and then walk him to the door. They had a birthday party. They used to give cakes to the customers on their birthdays, and the second time they did that, somebody threw the cake on the fucking wall of the stage. And Lydia said, "What are you? Are you an asshole?" And the guy, "Oh, this is a comedy club." So baby finger goes back, and there was no more cakes after that. So then the next thing that happened was they opened up a club in Buffalo, New York. with an American partner named Howard Lapidus, who has gone to the big comedy club in the sky ahead of us all. But so the second week they were open. First week was always going to be Mike McDonald. The second week I was there with Donnie, and a comic named Sam Kinison was supposed to play there. Kinison had not popped open yet. He wasn't a star yet. Nobody knew who he was. So Thursday night, no Sam Kinison. Now his brother Bill, the evangelist, the Reverend Bill Kinison, he was doing tent gospel shows in the outskirts of Buffalo, and he was advertised on Buffalo 29. So he'd come to the comedy club Thursday night. Well, I sent Sam the money for the ticket. He said he was coming, and Donnie said, no, there's no Sam. And then Friday, we haven't heard from Sam yet. So there's no Sam. So, then Howard Lapidus says, well, maybe somebody paid Sam not to come. So they bring in Gene Clark, the headline for the Friday night. Right? So then Saturday, he had to go. Sunday night, I'm the only one left. Gene had to go back to Toronto. So there's a crowd, and still no word from Kinison. So Donnie introduces me to the crowd as Sam Kinison. And nobody knew who Kinison was, so I got to do my shit, and then we were out of there. So there was a local comic, heroin addict, Vietnam vet in Buffalo at the time named Tommy Cox. And Tommy had already, after 2 weeks in the club being open, found out that Donnie was an easy touch for $20, $30 where you could buy his Goliaths from. So Donnie and I, at the time, the hotel we stayed at was a Holiday Inn. So Donnie and I are hanging out at the Holiday Inn and, kind of saying, well, have you heard from Sam yet? Is he here yet? Anybody know from Sam yet? And there's a phone call, and somebody from the hotel comes in. Phone call for Donnie Coy from Sam Kinison. Well, Donnie almost breaks his neck trying to get out of the pool. So he runs to the phone, and he goes, yes, this is Officer so-and-so from New York State Police. We have a gentleman named Mr. Sam Kinison. He was speeding. He said he has an engagement with you. We will release him if you're willing to pay the $200 fine. So Donnie goes, no problem, no problem. So then the phone says, okay, well, Mr. Tommy Cox will be over to pick up the $200 in 15 minutes. We all laugh because, that was Tommy scamming again. But, another night we were trying to find a club called Mickey Rat's, which was a very popular bar in Buffalo, and we didn't know where it was. And Donnie had just got this Chrysler New Yorker that could talk. It was one of the first talking cars. Your door is ajar. Your windshield wiper fluid is low. So it was like magic for us. So anyway, we pull up to a corner where these working girls are, and we roll down the window, ask for directions. And I guess Donnie with the big car in the fedora, they see us, and the hookers took off running. They were scared of Donnie Coy and Kenny Robinson in a talking car. So eventually we found Mickey Rat's, and then we were able to find it when we were blind and drunk. So anyway, there's people here that have known Donnie a long time. There's people here that never really got to know Donnie. He wasn't the easiest guy in the world to be friends with. And years into the relationship, I learned to write it off as Donnie being Donnie. Because you couldn't explain it to anybody. And you couldn't even explain it to yourself. Why I didn't trust this guy? He's such a fucking asshole. What kind of fucking... And then you go, it's fucking Donnie. It was Donnie being Donnie. And that was the thing, if you knew him long enough, you had to come to love about him. Because you could definitely have to have a conversation with him. You could talk to yourself about him for hours afterwards. And at the end of the conversation, you just got to throw your hands up and go, fucking Donnie being Donnie, So I spoke to him about a week before he passed. And it was funny because he was happy because his rent was $500. And he was getting $2,000 a month in old age. and he was saying that he's got it fucking made. You know, so at the way rent is now, I guess $500 a month rent, you do have it made. But you know, so the last time I talked to him, he talked about the Kinnison story, and he talked about Scary and the Horror story, and Donnie's one of those guys. He always wanted to tell the same 3 stories. It was like there are never any other stories, just those fucking 3. And yes, Donnie. And then he always changed it from how it happened. You know, each time. Sometimes it was fun just to hear how he was going to change it, even though you were there. You know, so that's why somebody said on Facebook, Donnie would have hated this, and I said no, Donnie would have loved this, and he would have changed everybody's story. So, anyway, to the gentleman that helped comedy grow in this country, and definitely if you met him once, you remembered him always. And sorry he's gone. And thanks everybody for gathering. Appreciate it.